Small clinics lose hours turning calls, intake forms, and handwritten notes into usable records. This idea uses AI to capture messy patient information, create summaries, flag missing details, and generate follow-up tasks. The goal is simple: reduce administrative burden and help patient flow move more smoothly. Before evaluating this startup idea, let's bring back the three filters from Module 1. A strong product needs real pain, urgent buyers, willingness to pay, and a reachable market. I should create a clear advantage through speed, accuracy, personalization, or automation. And the MVP must be something we can build and test quickly. Now we'll apply those filters to a clinic intake assistant. Small clinics are a strong AI opportunity because the pain is frequent and concrete. Staff manage calls, intake forms, visit notes, insurance details, and follow-up reminders every day, often across disconnected tools. That leads to delays, rework, and inconsistent records. AI fits because it can turn messy inputs into structured summaries, task lists, and next actions. It also passes the MVP test: a repeated workflow, a clear buyer, measurable time savings, and a narrow first version that can be tested quickly. In startup discovery, separate the person feeling the workflow pain from the person approving the purchase. In small clinics, those roles may overlap, but their motivations are different. Front desk staff, medical assistants, and intake coordinators deal with interruptions, duplicate entry, missing forms, and follow-up gaps. Owners, managers, and administrators care about budget, efficiency, patient readiness, and revenue protection. A strong pitch connects both sides: less daily friction for users and a measurable business outcome for the buyer. Before designing the MVP, we need to understand how intake actually works today. A patient may share information through a phone call, an online form, paperwork, email, and again during the appointment. Staff then stitch those pieces together, check what is missing, call the patient back, and prepare notes for the provider. That is where time leaks out. Missed reminders, unclear insurance details, and incomplete histories are usually workflow problems, not people problems. The MVP opportunity is to help staff make intake faster, cleaner, and more reliable. The MVP should be deliberately narrow. This is not a full clinical platform. It does one painful job well: turning messy intake inputs into something staff can use before the visit. Forms, PDFs, calls, and voice notes become a structured patient summary covering concerns, history, medications, insurance, and visit reason. The system also checks for missing details or contradictions, so staff can address gaps early. The final output is a practical follow-up checklist for the front desk, assistants, or providers. That is the smallest product with real workflow value. Think of the product as a conversion pipeline. Raw patient information arrives through intake forms, phone transcripts, voice memos, appointment notes, or scanned documents. The AI extracts key details, summarizes the situation, flags what is missing, and identifies likely follow-up work. But it does not bypass the clinic team. Staff review and verify the draft before it enters operations. The result is structured output the clinic can use: an intake summary, missing information list, task checklist, and copy-ready notes when needed. The core value is transformation. The assistant takes messy clinical inputs such as forms, transcripts, PDFs, voice notes, insurance details, and provider comments, and turns them into documentation staff can use immediately. That includes visit reason, symptoms, relevant history, medications, allergies, insurance notes, and contact preferences. It can also create operational next steps, such as missing information flags, follow-up calls, prep tasks, and reminders. The standard is trust. Every output must be editable, traceable to the source, and quick for staff to verify. What makes this AI-driven is that the system does more than collect answers. It interprets messy real-world information, including notes, call transcripts, emails, and uploaded documents. From that material, it creates a concise, standardized intake brief for staff. It can also flag gaps or contradictions before they cause delays. Instead of showing a generic form error, it can recommend the next best follow-up for that patient. This is where the value shifts from data entry to decision support. In healthcare-adjacent workflows, responsibility starts with a clear boundary. The assistant supports administration, not medicine. It can draft summaries, organize notes, prepare follow-ups, and reduce clerical load. It should not diagnose, recommend treatment, or imply clinical authority. Before anything is saved or sent, clinic staff review, edit, and approve it. I-generated content should be clearly labeled with an audit trail showing what changed and who approved it. This protects patients, builds staff trust, and keeps product claims aligned with what the system is designed and validated to do. Privacy is not a feature to add later. It is part of the product architecture from day one. If patient data enters the system, assume it is sensitive. Limit access, encrypt data, log important actions, and define how long information is kept. Be especially careful with third-party AI services. Know whether prompts, files, or outputs are stored, retained, or used for training. Trust also comes from clarity. Customers should understand your privacy language, security practices, and onboarding process. For regulated healthcare workflows, involve compliance experts early, before decisions become expensive to undo. Feasibility comes from keeping the first version narrow and modular. A user uploads audio or documents. Existing services handle transcription and parsing. The LLM turns the raw material into a clean summary, and the product converts that summary into tasks a staff member can review before using. That is enough for a prototype without touching EHRs, calendars, or billing systems. Those integrations can come later after demand is proven. The fastest path is to choose one clinic niche first, because workflows, language, and quality checks become much easier to design. Validation starts with evidence, not software. Talk to clinic owners, office managers, and front desk staff to understand where intake breaks down and how much documentation time it creates. Then run a concierge MVP. Take real sample forms and notes and manually turn them into summaries, missing field checks, and follow-up tasks. The goal is to measure value before automation. Track minutes saved, fewer follow-up calls, better appointment readiness, and whether clinics will pay for a pilot. Keep the first test narrow with one clinic segment before expanding. Monetization should follow the value the clinic actually feels. Less administrative drag every month. A simple starting point is a recurring fee per provider or per clinic, with later tiers based on intake volume. The first offer should be concrete, not technical. Save front desk time by turning forms and notes into ready-to-review summaries. For launch, go where clinic operators already discuss staffing pressure and workflow problems. Local outreach, admin forums, niche landing pages, LinkedIn, and referral partners can work because they start from an existing pain point. Early messaging should emphasize readiness, fewer missed follow-ups, and measurable workload relief. The big lesson is to build where administrative pain is frequent, measurable, and worth reducing. For clinics, that means a narrow intake assistant that summarizes messy inputs, flags gaps, and prepares follow-up tasks without removing human review. Trust, privacy, and clear positioning make the product viable. Next, we apply the same thinking to compliance deadlines in regulated small businesses.